Hello, let's unpack the Kokoda Challenge. Good morning, it is currently 5:57 a.m. and we are on our way to the start line of the Kokoda Challenge. So for those that don't know, it is a 96-kilometre team trail event through the Gold Coast hinterland. Feeling really good, feeling confident, feeling excited. Weather's not looking too great. It's a little bit wet and windy, and it's expected to continue this way for the duration of the event, which is obviously not ideal, but it is what it is, and the show will go on. Other than that, I'm competing with 3 really good friends who will be meeting at the start line, and I have full faith and confidence in our team, and I'm going to back us in. This is my husband Brenton. He will be one of our support crew team members who will be riding the wave with us over the next 24 to 48 hours. How are you feeling?
I feel like I've got the hardest job out of this weekend. Being a support crew is going to be challenging. I feel good. I think it's going to be pretty fun. I'll get to hang out with the boys, talk some shit. You get to hang out with girls, talk some shit. And then I just got to deal with you for 5-10 minutes and then send you on your way. It'll be cool.
So according to Google, the Kokoda Challenge is Australia's toughest team endurance events. And having had done it, let me walk you through why I think it has definitely earned the title of that. So historically, the Gold Coast event is a 96-kilometre trek through the Gold Coast hinterland. But this year, due to a last-minute course change, an extra 1 kilometre of distance was added, and an additional 200 meters or so of elevation was added. So in the end, it was around, according to our watches, close to that 99-kilometer mark and 5,000-ish meters of elevation.
Yeah, the girls.
So we had 4 major checkpoints across the course where we were able to meet our support crew. The first one was at around 34 kilometers. The next one was about 52. And then the third one was around 60 to 64. And then the last one was around that 80 to 82 kilometer mark. So there were actually quite a big distance between each major checkpoint, which I didn't realize was going to be as hard as it was. So by the time it came close to meeting them, we were all well and truly ready to sit down and put the feet up. Hey, it is approximately 2:40 p.m. and we are 30k in. And we are coming up to our first major checkpoint. How are you feeling?
Fantastic. No, that's a lie. I feel mediocre, but very excited for checkpoint 1.
Ladies,
How are we feeling?
how are we feeling?
Downhill, but I'm okay. I'm very excited to see our support crew. I am loving the downhill.
So our first major checkpoint went really fast. We had the goal of kind of getting in and getting out in under 20 minutes for each of the major checkpoints, which quickly blew out. Obviously, that first checkpoint was the longest slog. It was 34 kilometers until we got to see them. So by the time we, went to the bathroom, sat up, did a quick check of blisters and restrapping and getting some nutrition in, it was ready to go straight away. So that felt incredibly fast. And being the first checkpoint, it was a bit of trial and error to see what you needed, how long certain things would take. So that first one flew by. So the Gold Coast course is well known for its Big Five, which are the big 5 climbs across the duration of the course. But what's funny is that, yes, there's 5 peaks, but you are constantly climbing and you are constantly descending. So in the end, I was actually looking forward to the climbs because it was the only time that my body would get a little bit of reprieve, because I knew that what goes up must come down, and the down just smashed my body and it was not enjoying it at all. We are currently climbing Polly's kitchen, which is the 3rd of the big 5 hills, and she's gnarly. So by the time we rolled into our second major checkpoint, the weather had turned completely. It was incredibly wet and windy and freezing, obviously very dark. And I vividly remember at this point being on top of a hill, just getting smashed by the wind and the rain, and thinking, we're like halfway through. So we went in knowing this was going to be one of our biggest stops, because we did a full change, changed our shoes, our socks, we got into warmer clothing, put on gloves, beanies, all of that kind of thing, and sat down and had a bit bigger meal at this point. So this was probably close to that 30 to 35 mark by the time we got in and got back out. And leaving that one was pretty tough, again, just knowing that we're only halfway through.
Cheer up for the fucking vlog. This is bullshit. I didn't come here to watch everyone be upset. What you're doing is really bad.
Okay, so we're a bit over 40 kilometres in. It is quite dark. We've done roughly 2,300 metres of elevation. And feeling good, feeling fresh.
Feeling bloody fine.
On the course, there was around 6 to 8 creek crossings, which we were going in a little bit nervous about, because the thought of, you know, walking 20 plus kilometres with wet socks and shoes was a little bit daunting. But we got super lucky. We managed to follow the teams in front of us where they kind of stepped, and at each creek crossing there were enough stepping stones to kind of make your way across without getting saturated. So that was a massive win for us. I think it was around the 72 kilometre mark where the wheels were beginning to really fall off.
It's walking backwards.
Man, you're going the wrong way.
Do you know you're doing it wrong? In the hurt locker.
I feel great.
I feel great. Woo!
Towards the start of the race, you know, I had a little bit of hip pain going uphill, but it was definitely something that was manageable. It wasn't anything crazy. But then at that 70 kilometre mark, I just blew out. My knee completely blew out. And it got to the point where I had to use my poles as crutches for the last like 23 to 25 kilometres. And I was taking one step and then another little step, and then I'd stop. And then one step, little step, stop. And this is where mentally I began to spiral. Obviously, physically, I was in quite a lot of pain, but what was hurting me even more was the thought of keeping the girls out there longer than they had to be. You know, when you've already been on your feet for 25 plus hours, all you want to do is just get home. And every minute on your feet at this point feels like an eternity. And I knew how much they were hurting. So I think that naturally sent me into a little bit of a spiral. And I remember multiple times I told them to just go to the last checkpoint and wait for me there, and I would slowly get there. It was honestly an extremely difficult part of the challenge for me.
A low has been, I want to say
there was this one point in the last 8 or so kilometres that I think was a complete breaking point for me. We got to our last checkpoint, and it wasn't a major checkpoint. It was like checkpoint 13, where it said that we had 6 kilometres to go until the end. And this 6 kilometres, it was like this, which I was obviously dreading, but the thought of only 6 kilometres helped me like push through. And this is an area in Narang that we have trained heaps as a team. We're very familiar with it. So mentally going in, I'm like, look, I know where I am. I know how far we have. Let's just get it done. And I remember getting to that 6 kilometre mark and the girl saying, look, we only have 180 metres to go. And at this time, I was very, very slow moving. 180 metres felt like an eternity at that point, but I knew in my mind 180 metres, like anyone can get 180 metres no matter how much they're hurting. So I just soldiered on, kept pushing through, and then the girls were quite in front of me at this point, and I saw them stop and look at each other and then look back at me. And there was a sign along the side of the path that said, only 2 kilometres to go. And at this point, I remember just sinking into my poles and just putting my head down and just crying. Because in my mind, I was like, I didn't think I could get 800 metres back there. And now we have to do another 2 kilometres. And yeah, that was a very dark place that I entered at that point. The girls could obviously see how much I was hurting at this point and actually ran forward and called my husband and said, hey, you need to get up here and walk with her for the next 2K because I don't think she's going to make it.
We also gained another team member.
I know I'm coming. They know I'm coming. I know they gonna be there, and they know I'm gonna do the best job I can possibly do.
So seeing him run up the hill was like this realization of we're so close, but yet feels so far away. And I remember walking with him and talking to him and telling him I don't think I can keep going, and I'm stopping every second and he's trying to push me to keep moving. And I got to the point where you could hear the MC over the speakers and you can hear the crowd and people are yelling and like cheering and people are crossing the finish line, and you know, you could hear it, so you knew it was so close, but in my mind I'm like, it's still so far.
We can see the finish. It's right there.
When I saw that finish line and crossed it, there was this massive emotional and adrenaline dump. There was a huge sense of pride, of course, for what your body just took you through. But more than that, there was this massive feeling of gratitude for everyone that got me there. To my team members who absolutely carried me through that whole race. For Brenton, that went above and beyond in everything that he did. The support crew, the volunteers, and our loved ones that were waiting at the finish line for when it all ended. It just makes you realise that yes, it's important to do hard things and prove to yourself that you can do hard things, but you rarely do those hard things alone. And it's the people that are in your corner that truly make that whole experience so special. And there you have it. That was the Kokoda Challenge. I'm leaving that event with 2 broken toes, a possible meniscus tear, and full confidence that once is definitely enough. Peace. I remember hearing other teams talk about and remind each other why they're doing this. And it made me sit back and think, why am I doing this?
Are you in or are you out?
Please, in or out of what?
No time for questions, just action. In or out.
Okay, well then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
What?